Hello there, my name is Angela and you are watching the Deep Dive Talk Show. In today's episode, we will be tackling spirituality and how we can express it, especially in the current events that are happening today. What current event do you say? Well, it's none other than the upcoming 2022 elections. But before diving into that, let us first define what spirituality actually is. Spirituality can be understood as that aspect of human existence which relates to structures of significance that give us meaning and direction to a person's life. It is associated with the human quest for meaning, purpose, self-transcending knowledge, meaningful relationships, love, and a sense of the holy. Our morality is based on our spirituality, whereas the rightness or wrongness of how we understand our actions is based on what we value and how we find meaning. In the upcoming elections, it is important to be able to choose morally good leaders that we can relate to and put our trust with. There is a reason why we are living. God has given purpose for our lives. If politicians want to maximize their leadership and reach their potential, it requires finding their purpose and obeying what God has called them to do. I will now be passing the floor to Erica, who will be tackling about the spirituality of truth and mercy.
Thank you for that, Jella. I am Erica, and I will be focusing on two aspects of spirituality, of truth and of mercy. Both of these in regards with the upcoming elections. Let me start off with spirituality of truth. Based on CCC 2465, the Old Testament attests that God is the source of all truth. His word is truth. His law is the truth. His faithfulness endures to all generations. Since God is true, the members of His people are called to live in the truth. Moral truth and logical truth are expressions of what originally was just an idea in the great might that brought it forth to existence, God. The challenge, therefore, is how to communicate the truth in today's world. In this campaigning period, it is important to participate in bearing truth by not spreading false or fake information. Fake news is abundant in the current world, and we are called to spread awareness to the public of what is true and what is false. We must not let corrupt or dishonest people be given a seat of position in the government. Now, let me move on to spirituality of mercy. To talk of God's mercy means therefore that God is like a mother who takes care of her children, who loves them, never can forget them, and suffers with them when they are suffering, and whose house and table is always open for them. We must elect leaders that are merciful and will not let the people suffer because of their own selfish desires. Now, I will be passing the screen to Ashna to dive in more on this topic.
Thank you, Erica, for telling us about the spirituality of truth and spirituality of mercy. But before we end today's episode, I am Ash and I'll be talking about the spirituality of communion. Spirituality of communion, first and foremost, entails the heart's contemplation of the Trinity dwelling in us and how we can be a light to our brothers and sisters. According to Evangelii Gaudium 67, spirituality of communion is that communion which heals, promotes, and reinforces interpersonal bonds. This tells us to consider our brothers and sisters as our own family, to experience highs and lows, respond to their needs, and most importantly, extend genuine friendship. This also allows us to see the good in others, to accept them and value them as a blessing from God, not just for ourselves, but also for the people around us. We are able to build inclusivity by carrying each other's burdens and withstanding through the selfish temptations that torment us and plague us with distrust and jealousy. Pope Benedict XVI said that, as the Eucharist constantly presents the risen Christ, we are all called to practice communion. Communion among all faithful, the commitment to proclaiming and witnessing the gospel, the ardor of all love, especially the poorest and the lowest. Now that the national elections are nearing, we are all encouraged to vote for someone who promotes inclusivity and gives the people the opportunity to participate. Someone who makes us feel that we are heard and included, that we are treated fairly and respectfully. Someone who has a visible commitment, someone with an open mind and deep curiosity about their people, someone who listens without judgment and seeks empathy to understand those around them. Now to conclude, accepting Jesus as a reality entails a sign of forming a connection with Him and living one's life in accordance to His examples and teachings. Through His name, we are all called to practice the spirituality of truth, spirituality of mercy, and spirituality of communion to overcome different challenges and to cultivate spiritual development. That wraps up today's episode of the Deep Dive Talk Show.
Thank you for watching, and I hope you gained insights about what spirituality is.
That's right. And always remember in the upcoming 2022 elections to vote wisely.